Hello, my name is Eric Worrell, and in this review, we're going to be comparing HelloFresh versus Blue Apron. These are food delivery services straight to your door where they give you pre-packaged meals that you can cook in your home and makes it a little bit easier so you can skip the grocery store and skip the meal planning process. What you can see on the screen are a few time-lapse videos that are showing up. What I've done is I've taken footage of all 6 meals that I have cooked, 3 with each service, and we're going to break them down and show you what I liked about them, show you what I disliked about them, and help you make a better decision if you're thinking about using one of these services for yourself. So let's get to it. All right, unboxing the Blue Apron box here. You can see it comes in this weird foil that looks like it's for aliens or something like that, but we're gonna buzz through these pretty quick, just kind of some of the images you have here. The seared chicken and pan sauce meal that we're gonna be looking into. We have the 1-pan beef and udon noodle stir fry that we're going to cook up for you here, and then the creamy Fusilli Bucati pasta with fried rosemary and walnuts, which was a nice treat. They give you the nutritional info there. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is seared chicken and pan sauce. This is all the ingredients here laid out for you. I will link to the actual meals because they have these all listed on Blue Apron. So dicing up a bunch of sweet potatoes and dicing up the cabbage. So I gotta admit, this particular recipe has this like apple coleslaw cabbage. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, that sounds kind of weird and not something that I would like. I actually liked it, so that's pretty impressive to get me to like something I historically don't like. And mixing up all the juices, you can tell that I do this for a living, doing cooking videos, right? Call them juices. But here we're just doing the prep work, probably let that oil burn down too far, and giving you a real quick run through of making that side coleslaw. And like I said, that was pretty delicious. Patting down some chicken, that's always fun to do. I hate cooking chicken because you always feel like you're just gonna get sick, even though I've never gotten sick once in my life, but had that fear probably like 10,000 times. That's my relationship with chicken. Mashing up the sweet potatoes, and then I'm going to plate the chicken here in a second after I kind of let it reduce down and make sure it's cooked to 165. And at the end here, you can see we're plating it. This one, I gotta say that the chicken, like not anything crazy, but again, that coleslaw and then the cream that they put in the mashed potatoes is really good. So now why don't we look at HelloFresh, what it looks like when you're unboxing. Feel free to steal that promo code if you're the first one for the wine. We have the Meatloaf a la mom. I got a few of the things there. Honey hot chicken, which is a nickname my wife has for me. That's not true, but we'll get to that later. And then the Tuscan sausage and pepper spaghetti. That was actually, I'll give you a little bit of a look ahead. That was my favorite meal out of all 6. So you can see that it's very different the way that things are packaged. They're kind of almost like these little lunch packs, and then you got these recyclable cooler containers, the chicken, the beef, and the sausage. And we're gonna go through and slow it down here, but we're gonna go through our first one, which is the Tuscan sausage and pepper spaghetti. And like I mentioned, this was my favorite out of all 6 meals, and it really wasn't close. One of the things I wanna show you here is all the items laid out for this. And what I'm gonna do is toggle back and forth between the last meal we just looked at with Blue Apron versus HelloFresh, and why that I kind of prefer HelloFresh more so from a earth-friendly standpoint. Whether that matters to you is up to you. But as you can see, this right here is one full meal and how it's packaged. This is how it was packaged with Blue Apron. So again, HelloFresh, Blue Apron. HelloFresh, Blue Apron. You can notice that there's a lot more plastic when you're going with the Blue Apron approach. So I just wanted to show you this onion. I thought it was kind of a neat looking onion, not one that I've seen before. It had a really easy to peel top layer on it, which I feel like that's kind of a pain in the butt. A lot of the onions I buy, I'm sitting there picking at them. I wish I knew more about cooking to tell you more about that, but you can see the produce is pretty fresh looking. I was pretty happy with that. I believe that's basil. Correct me if I'm wrong. No, everyone loves to see a close-up of sausage. It's gross, right? So taking the skins off of the sausage here, mixing up the veggies with some oil, adding some Tuscan heat spice to it. Again, probably stirring it too much because I don't know what I'm doing. Starting the spaghetti, mixing the sausage, and then you can see this is where you add the diced tomatoes. I'm not usually a big diced tomato fan, but all the spices, the tomatoes, pasta, veggies, everything together worked really great. Probably checking the pasta too much just to make sure it's al dente. But one thing with this recipe that's interesting is it has you use some of that leftover water from the pasta and adding it back into the mix. So you can see I'm kind of mixing everything up here, and I'm getting my final plating, and then we're gonna do some close-ups, right? Let's see if we can get fancy here. I don't like that camera angle. Can we drop it down a little bit? Yeah. Oh, there you go. It's a little better. Yeah, get a little bit of that texture. I don't know if this looks delicious or not to you. To me, it does because it was so delicious. It was a great meal. Now we're talking about creamy Fusilli Bucati pasta. Sorry, I got to do that. I know I shouldn't. But here are all the ingredients for this meal. So we're toggling. We started with Blue Apron, went to HelloFresh, and now we're back at Blue Apron. This is the rosemary here. Just try to give you close-ups of some of the items so you can kind of see quality here. There's the kale, kind of deheading the kale. I don't know what you'd actually call that. Rosemary, picking off the little pieces of it. Pretty easy to do. This meal has walnuts and rosemary that you kind of I don't know if you say pan fry them, but it's delicious. So I want to highlight this right here. If you do not have this tool, it's great. It's like $1 or $2. I don't even know what it's called, but it's just this like roller that you put over garlic. And what it does is it makes it really easy to peel the skin off of the garlic. And if I remember, I've got some garlic in other recipes coming up. I'll tell you a funny story about me and garlic, which I know sounds weird. But the rosemary and walnuts you can see here, probably overcooked them a little bit, but that's okay. We're gonna do a rewind of me putting these shallots in here. Watch this. This is what you don't do when you're cooking. Don't boil up. See it? See it? Yeah, right at the bottom there. Super hot oil. I splashed it and ended up shooting out oil onto the floor. And then, it'll probably be like a month from now, my wife will be like, how is the floor all messy? And I go, I don't know. That's usually what I do. That's my go-to move. And you can see here that's really reducing down the kale and then adding some of the creamery, Creekside cream and salt. Probably not the healthiest meal in the world. One thing I've noticed from this cooking that I did here, I didn't do a great job of cleaning the pan out at one point. That's why the noodles kind of get a little bit of that brown color. I don't think that's from any of the ingredients. That's just from me not taking enough time to clean it out. But this was a really delicious meal as well. I'm going to do a kind of a nice little close-up here after we get the walnuts and rosemary. Again, walnuts and rosemary, that's kind of like why these things are fun. We've never pan-fried walnuts and rosemary before and put it on anything, and that combination was delicious. So I think you learn a little bit every single time that you cook a meal, and you're cooking meals that maybe you wouldn't have tried because you just didn't know about them. So this one, back to HelloFresh, this is meatloaf a la mom. You hungry? Hey, Ma! Can we get some meatloaf? And if you want to pause at any point, but we're talking about prepping, roasting veggies, making meatloaf, baking meatloaf, making gravy, and finishing and plating. So I try and freeze frame as much as possible. So if there's something you want to look at, like that bag or that rosemary or that onion, those carrots, you can pause and look at them. If you think potatoes are really neat, then you can look at the potato or want to read the ingredients on the ketchup, but I don't think you want to listen to me talk about these things in depth. Just kind of highlighting again, the bag is recyclable. So shredding here some of the shallots and also slicing some of them up because they're going to be used differently. Again, we got garlic there. Going back to that garlic story, I made my wife, at the time, girlfriend, I believe, dinner one night. And trying to be nice, and the recipe called for 2 cloves of garlic. I confused cloves with head, so I sat there for 45 minutes taking down these heads of garlic, and really, I don't know what I put in, 15 cloves of garlic into the meal, and it was pretty bad. So I learned the difference between cloves and heads of garlic that day. So you can see now I'm making 2 meatloafs, and they are not proportional because I guess I'm not good at making meatloaf. But putting out the carrots, putting a little oil on it along with the potatoes here. The one thing I liked about HelloFresh in this instance is they really time it out well for you. So they have you cook the carrots a little bit for 10-15 minutes, then you put on the meatloaf, then you put it back in. So it kind of reduced the amount of plates that I needed in that way, because I wasn't cooking meatloaf, cooking veggies, and then cooking other items as well. So here I'm going to be making a gravy. So I got the flour, I've got the beef stock, some water, those shallots that we had earlier kind of minced down, and I'm going to make some gravy. I probably could have cooked the meatloaf a little bit longer. I'll zoom in on it. You can see it's got a little pink. That's really up to your preference. But as far as the quality of the meatloaf, my mom's meatloaf is the bomb. It's the best. This was very close. It was very delicious. Of course, a really good gravy helps. I think that a lot of the flavor came from that gravy. I know that the plating of this is not the sexiest meal by any means, but it was a very good meal. So now we're back to Blue Apron, looking at a 1-pan beef and udon noodle stir fry. So like I said, a lot of plastic, but the actual produce, I mean, you can see it's got a great color to it, very fresh. I thought that both services, I was pretty impressed with that, because you wonder, like, you're getting this delivered to your house, what's it gonna look like? Got some snow peas. Those are always delicious, but I never eat them, and every time I have them, I'm like, oh, I should eat these more often, and then I never do. So again, mixing all the juices together for this meal, giving you an idea of how to make this beef udon noodle stir fry. Cooking up the olive oil, putting in the beef with the flour on it, and cooking it down. And one of the things too that I'll let you know is that this was a pain in the butt for me to do, because I decided to put all of these into serving dishes before I drop them in the pan. I would never normally do that, but I'm trying to make a good video for you guys, so hopefully you get a thumbs up in appreciation here. So it was pretty delicious. I mean, the noodle, you can see, like, something about a good noodle, right? It's got like a certain movement to it, a certain texture. These noodles were great. Like, the normal noodles that we cook, that we get at the grocery store, are not as good as this one by any means. All right, guys, that does it for this video. You might be wondering what happened to the hot honey chicken. I recorded that footage. I don't know what happened to that footage. That's kind of disappointing, because this took me a ton of time to record 6 meals, and I wanted to get all 6 in there. That one, it was okay. One of the things I've noticed is the HelloFresh meals, outside of the Tuscan sausage and pepper spaghetti one, I thought they were a little bit more meat and potatoes, the hot honey chicken and the meatloaf. And there's nothing wrong with that. With the Blue Apron, I thought that there was more fancy ingredients, stuff I hadn't tried before, different types of creams or things that you're adding into the meal. So if you're looking for something that's kind of more adventurous, I think Blue Apron's a great option. If you're looking for good quality, consistency, probably slightly easier to cook. I thought HelloFresh was a little bit easier to time things out from a cooking standpoint, but I was also shooting footage as I was doing it, so I was really kind of burning a couple things when I shouldn't have been. But if you guys found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate it if you use my links. I'm going to work to get affiliate links in the description. Doesn't cost you anything extra, but I make a few bucks if you use my link, and hopefully you found this helpful. Again, feel free to comment with your thoughts. If you've tried out the different services, I'd be interested to hear what you have to say as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and have a great week. All right, take care.